All right, what is up, my friends? Welcome to my Modern Horizons complete set review. Every card. We just did white. Now we're on to blue, best color of Magic. We'll be doing every single card, constructed, limited, all the cards, you name it. Of course, this is a special set. This card is not for standard, so not an arena, only legal in modern and older formats, legacy, commander, and so on and so forth. So a lot of power level here. A lot of exciting cards. A lot of exciting cube cards, too. So, I want to remind everyone real fast, I'll be doing my Mog Monday showdown with Aspiring Spike this coming Monday. 3 Modern Goblin decks versus 3 of Aspiring Spike's brews. I'll also be doing 10 new brews for Modern Horizons. 10 Modern Leagues next week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Look for that as well. And, of course, I got sponsors, too. Check out my sponsors.
Cool Stuff Inc. is proud to sponsor Jim Davis. We offer great deals on card games, tabletop RPGs, board games, and more. Get a free token featuring Jim Davis and take 5% off your next order if you use the code JIM5 at checkout. CoolStuffInc.com. Cool stuff in stock.
So let's get right to it with our blue cards, starting with Aeromoeba. A little callback here to the card Aquamoeba. A little blob that could. Aeromoeba is a 4-mana 2/4 flyer. You can pitch a card to switch power and toughness. An okay draft card. Obviously a Madness enabler. I think Madness is more situated in black and red. Just a kind of like okay draft card. A 2/4 flyer of 4 is certainly okay. It's not what it used to be back in my day when we were drafting, where Spine Drake, whatever it was a very high pick in 7th edition drafts back in the day. But yeah, definitely not the most exciting card. It's a cute little common for limited. Up next is Burdened Aerialist. The mana for a 3/1. When it comes into play, make a treasure. Whenever you sacrifice a token, it gets flying. So kind of a cool card here. Kind of a cool card. Sort of the opposite of I don't recall the name. The 1/4 they made a treasure. That card was very popular in draft. This is the opposite here. So 3/1, more aggressive, can gain flying, which is kind of cool. A lot of value in a treasure as far as splashes go and things like that. So kind of a cool card. Sailor of Means. Yes, Sailor of Means is the card I'm looking for. Thank you, chat. Appreciate that. So kind of like the reverse of that. A more offensive and defensive card. But treasures are great. They're artifacts for synergies. They can fix colors. This is a solid draft common for sure. Solid draft common. We'll see how important splashing is in this format, but pretty cool card. Pretty cool draft common. Up next is Dress Down, a rare. 2-mana enchantment flash cantrip. So already pretty solid. Creatures lose all abilities. At the beginning of end step, you sacrifice Dress Down. So kind of like a weird hoser against sort of combo decks, things like that. Not sure what you do with this beyond that, as far as creatures losing abilities. Death Shadow? What would this do to a Death Shadow? Would this make it a 13/13? I don't even know. A lot of weird things going on here. I imagine this is a mechanic. This is an enchantment because it wants the ability of the entire turn. So it's kind of cool. So it makes Shadow at 13/13. A little combat trick there. Kind of cute. But yeah, kind of also a weird card. Phyrexian Dreadnought, sure. Kroxa, sure. It's good against Heliod combo, sure. It's kind of just cute. Cyborg card. We'll do things, listing off all things right now is impossible, but we'll certainly do things as far as cyborg cards go. And being a cantrip is kind of nice too. Up next is Ethereal Spinner. The mana for a 2/1. And then you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater, make a Thopter. Solid draft card here, honestly. It's Artifacts 2/1, which is not super great, but if you make a flyer or two, if you make one flyer off this, you're already pretty much there on rate. And then beyond that, you're doing really, really well. So obviously your draft deck will be able to hit this, maybe affinity cards, things like that. But definitely a reasonably solid draft card, good synergy card, kind of cool. Up next is Filigree Attendant, 4 mana for an X3 flyer. Power equal number of artifacts you control. Super solid draft card. Again, treasures, clues, food, artifact creatures. I imagine it will not be difficult to make this card into like a 5/3 or 6/3 flyer pretty early and limited. So probably a very solid draft card. Very, very solid draft card. Up next is Floodhound Gang, a.k.a. Blues Clues, a.k.a. Snoopy Doo. Floodhound, 1 mana for a 1/2 elemental dog. Tap 3, investigate. Not going to see play constructed, obviously. This is certainly not 3-mana Spectre. In limited, I mean, it works. You know, it's basically tap 5 mana, draw a card, which is kind of cool. You know, sort of similar to various blue creatures that, you know, spend 4 or 5 mana to draw a card. If this card wasn't standard, I'd be all about this card in like control mirrors and stuff. Yeah, not quite a 0 mage because a 1/2 is worse than a 2/1 for 2. But cute draft card. Again, there is a lot of value in having artifacts. You know, if you have a filigree attendant in play, make some clues, pump it up, kind of cool. So kind of a cute card, kind of fun, a lot of fun names, stuff like that. You and me, baby, ain't nothing but elementals. So let's crack some clues and... Foul Watcher, 2 mana for a 1/2 flyer. Comes into play, Surveil 1. And Delirium, of course, Delirium is the mechanic where if there are 4 more card types in a graveyard, you get the effect. It'll be a 2/2 flyer. So honestly, solid draft card. If you're playing anything graveyard based, a 2/2 flyer for 2 is really, really good. Surveil is really good. Surveil is a good mechanic in general, just better than Scry, just like strictly better than Scry, which is cool. Solid draft comment, honestly. If you're kind of a graveyard deck, kind of a cool card. Fractured Sanity. Blue, sorcery. Each opponent mills 14 cards. That's a lot of cards. You can also cycle it. Your opponent will mill 4 cards. Amalek, resub. 56 months. Thanks so much, Amalek. Appreciate that. One of the OGs. And yeah, pretty pushed here. Blue is a little hard to cast, obviously. It's definitely a super specific cost. And Dimir Mill is one of those decks that like is a lot better than people think it is, but still not like a tier 1 deck. Does Dimir Mill even want this card? Maybe. I'm not sure, honestly. You know, 14's a lot. Being able to cycle it is pretty cool. 4 cards, not super great, but powerful effect for sure. If you're milling, this card is good. There's not much to say, honestly. And then in Limited, 14 cards is honestly a lot in Limited. Like, that's, you know, almost half their deck. If you're playing a slow deck, you know, the opportunity cost here is a cycling card, which is great. So that's kind of cool. So definitely a solid Limited card too. But yeah, I'm not sure if the mill deck wants this card, because I don't know if you want more, if you need more than like Glimpse Unthinkable or stuff like that. So it's kind of cute. Up next is Ghost Lit Drifter. Oh man, we're going so deep in the old school mechanic bank. Channel from Kamigawa. 3 mana for a 2/2 flying. So again, Windrake, not so great by itself. 3 mana to give another creature flying. That's okay. And you can channel it, which means you can discard it and pay the cost and get the effect, which is channel blue X creatures can fly on a turn. So kind of like a middling draft card here. Again, Windrake is not super exciting and limited. A little bit of upside here. You can channel it to win the game, but blue decks have a lot of flyers anyway. So yes, General Canada in chat says, I like that they got the power level of Kamigawa just right on this card. Kamigawa, not known for being a particularly powerful set. But yeah, so it's just a draft kind of filler card. Next up is Hard Evidence. 1 blue for a sorcery. Make an 0/3 crab and investigate. So this is blue's version of 3-Bit Inspector. And this card is my sleeper in blue. This card's better than it looks. Of course, when we all saw Inspector, it's funny actually. Many years ago, like maybe 2014, before the Players Championship, I was considering applying to WotC to take to be a designer, and I took the R&D test, and that was before whatever set that was, whatever set Inspector's in was out yet, and on my test, which of course back then was an NDA, now it doesn't matter. Was 3-Bit Inspector. I remember seeing the card, and my response to it was, this card's kind of cool. It's all right. It's like, it's fine, limited-y, not super great. Boy, was I wrong. I failed the test, failed the card evaluation, failed everything. Inspector's freaking awesome. One of the best white 1-drops ever printed. So this is a pretty easy card to misevaluate, I think. It's also a spell, and blue decks tend to like spells. So it triggers Prowess. It's a spell in the graveyard for whatever, Crackling Drake or whatever effect, you know. So is it good enough for Modern? I don't think so. Probably not, but it is certainly a reasonable card. And 0/3 is definitely a decent blocker. It's kind of a cool card. In Limited, this card's great. Like, phenomenal great, I think. But super solid. It doesn't put any power on the board, which is true, but it blocks decently well. You can't blink it, which is true. But again, it puts a spell in the graveyard. You can Snapcast it, sure, get more crabs. I think this card's pretty sweet. So Pretty cool card. Up next is the blue entry into the no mana cost cycle. Inevitable Betrayal. 3 mana sorcery, suspend 3 for 3 mana. It's a bribery. So, bribery, good and limited. Insane in cube draft, not so good in modern. Not many things to bribery in modern. Cool commander card, of course. Cheap bribery. But in modern, some decks will have things you want. Most decks won't. Most deck won't. Tez, thanks for resub. Appreciate that. So, Up next is Junk Winder. Junk Winder. 7 mana for a 5/6 with affinity for tokens. So not artifacts, tokens. Affinity for tokens. Whenever a token enters battlefield under your control, tap target non-land permanent and opponent controls. Doesn't untap until its controller's next untap step. So plays really well with Blue's Clues. Affinity for tokens is kind of cool. It's funny because it's almost like artifacts anyway, because you have clue tokens and treasure tokens and stuff like that, but also squirrels and things like that too. Kind of a cool card here. If your draft deck can cast this for a reasonable cost here, pretty reasonable, which is cool. And then tapping things is really, really good. Frost Tightening creatures, make a clue, tap your thing, doesn't untap. Very, very powerful. So a very, very solid draft uncommon. Of course, it needs to actually work in your deck. But if this card does work in your deck, it is busted. Busted draft card. Busted draft card for sure. Super cool. Super cool. Up next is Lose Focus. A pretty impressive card. 2 mana for a bad mana leak, or quench, if you will. Counter target spell with controller pays 2. It has the Replicate ability. Replicate means you can pay the cost, and you can kicker it, but keep paying it. So you can pay the blue as many times as you want, and you copy it for each time you play it. So 2 mana, it's Quench. For 3 mana, it can be Counterspell pay 4. Convolute. For 4 mana, Counterspell pay 6, and so on and so forth. That's pretty flexible to the point where this might actually be a cube card, honestly. The fact that it scales up is awesome. It's still good early. This card is really, really cool. I think this card would be a slam dunk 4 of in standard if it was legal in standard. Obviously, in modern, we have a little more than that, so probably not going to see play in modern. It also, because it replicates, your opponent can't Dovin's veto it just to counter it because you have multiple copies of it. You can counter Cascade triggers, which is really, really cool. Because remember, this is multiple spells. And then, yes, again, in Counter Wars, it's sort of like Flusterstorm. So, I counter your spell, you counter my counter, I counter your counter, you counter my counter. I play this and split it up to counter multiple things and stuff like that, which is really cool. It can counter storm copies. It's hard to counter back. It's a really cool card. It triggers Magecraft, which is kind of cool. So a lot of things happen to this card that aren't immediately apparent. This is a very solid card. Very, very solid card. Definitely, of course, Counterspell coming back is a big thing too, but will he play in modern? Maybe not. Maybe not. But it's a really cool card, a pretty cool cube card. Limited, the cool things aren't going to matter as much, but very solid card. It's going to do a lot more than you think it's going to. Very, very cool card. Lucid Dreams, Dramagoyf. 5 mana sorcery. Draw X cards, where X is the number of card types among cards in your graveyard. Not all graveyards, your graveyard. So, kind of like a Tidings in Limited. Tidings, of course, is same mana cost, draw 4. So this card has to draw more than 4 cards to be better than Tidings. In Limited, Tidings is good anyway. But, if you draw 4 or 5 cards of this, that's phenomenal. But mostly just a draft card, draw spell. Can't imagine you're playing this card constructed, but kind of cool. Mental Journey. 6 mana, instant, draw 3 cards, basic land cycling. Super solid draft card. The kind of card that's good early and good late. Instant, it's flexible, draws 3 cards. Likes card a lot. Likes card a lot for Limited. Very, very solid card. Up next is Merktide Regent. No? Okay. Merktide Regent, 7 mana, 3/3 flyer. It's got Delve. So, it's got Delve. Take a second. It's got Delve. Delve's really good. Part-time new sub. What's up? You can Delve it. It's got flying. Enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each instant and sorcery card exiled with it. Whenever an instant or sorcery card leaves your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on Merktide Regent. Wait, am I stupid? So, it's not 2 mana for an 8/8 flyer. Because you delve to cast the spell, it's not in play yet for the ability to go off. So it's only a 3/3. And then the next one you would cast would make it bigger. Is that the judges? Is that correct? Am I reading this incorrectly? First line gives the counters for delving. Oh, right. I'm sorry. Yeah, right. Sorry. Correct. It's okay. I just can't read. Right. So it has the ability that does both. So right. So you delve away a brainstorm, a lightning bolt, and a ponder. It's going to be a 6/6. Now, I think this card is much more important for Legacy than it is for Modern, because Legacy has the absolute density of cantrips that are much better than they are in Modern, which is very cool. Because in Modern, you're going to have like 2 fetch lands in the graveyard, maybe 3, maybe a Thought Scour, a Bolt or 2. Like, I think this will likely be about a 6/6 in Modern. So it's cool. A lot of competition, of course. Whenever Instant Sorcery read the third ability. I did read the third ability. So, yeah, later on. So, yeah. Right, so Legacy has Ethereal Forger, which can draw cards. And then, yeah, definitely, it is awkward with Snapcaster and things like that, for sure. Card is powerful. I think this card is a little overblown. I think this card's a little worse than you think it is, based on the fact that, like, you're thinking you're going to exile 5 instant sorceries. You're probably not, at least not early. You're going to have fetch lands in your graveyard, creatures in your graveyard, things like that. And I don't know. I think this card's fine. I think this card's a little overblown. I'm on this card being pretty overrated. It's fine. Delve is good. There's a reason why Gurmag Angler is insane, though, and Tombstalker is kind of bleh, because costing 2 mana of 2 colors is pretty tough. So, I think this card's a little fillery. I don't think it's that great. I think it's cool, but overrated. I agree. And limited, this card's busted, obviously. Limited, like, just a 3/3 flyer with Delve is certainly reasonable, too. So, insane limited card, but not super excited and constructed. I think this card's pretty overblown. Up next is Mystic Redaction. 3 mana for an enchantment. Beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. Whenever you discard a card, each opponent mills 2 cards. Okay. I mean, I guess. Like, this card, if there's any sort of combo that can, like, discard or recur a card infinitely, this is like a wing edition for it. It's cute, I guess. I don't know. Not a draft card. I just don't think this card's very good. It's just whatever. I don't know. Whatever. I'm just gonna move on. Parcel Mirror, 2 mana for a 2/1. Sack it, draw a card. This is draft filler. It's a clue. It's kind of cool. It's a clue. But, just a cute draft filler kind of card. Phantasmal Dreadmaw. Love it. 4 mana for a 6/6 trample, but has the Phantasmal ability. So if you target it, it dies. This card's probably pretty solid and limited depending on, like, how the set looks, but kind of cute, obviously. Everyone loves Phantasmal Dreadmaw. Up next is Raving Visionary, 2 mana for a 1/1. 1 mana to loot, draw and discard. We gotta pay, though, which kind of sucks. And Delirium is 3 mana, draw a card. That's it. So that's kind of cool. It's all right, you know. I mean, if you're able to get Delirium and limited, that's pretty powerful. I mean, obviously not nearly good enough for constructed, but cool limited card if you're able to get Delirium. As just the looter, I'm pretty unimpressed. We've seen tons of its effect, you know, as like a 1/3 in limited, and a 1/1 is much more fragile, can't block. So it's okay. It's an okay limited card. Up next is Recalibrate, 2 mana for an instant. Return target creature to its owner's hand. If you've discarded a card this turn, draw a card. This card's pretty awesome. It sort of has like reverse madness. A lot of what madness is as a mechanic is drawing a card. So if I discard a Fiery Temper to madness it and then cast it, it's sort of like I'm drawing a card because I discarded it for some sort of cost and got the effect for that. And then also got a Lightning Bolt too. So if you draw a card off, it's going to be really good. The question, of course, is how many decks can do that at a reasonable pace. You know, I want to be able to be... I'll be discarding cards for value. So cycling, getting things off of it, you know, and if you could do that and then use this, and of course 2 mana unsummon is like passable also. So kind of a cool draft card that's stock will vary wildly on your ability to trigger the card draw effect. If you can trigger it a lot, card seems very good. Rise and Shine, 2 mana sorcery. This is a what's it called? Ensoul artifact, but it's only 4 counters, not 5, which is a thing. But you can overload it to give all of your stuff 4 counters on it. So feels like more of a draft card. Turn all your clues into creatures and kill your opponent, which is kind of cute. Just worse than Soul Artifact in Modern, and Soul Artifact doesn't see play anyway. So it's kind of a cool draft card, cool draft build around. Pretty cool. And Soul made the creature a base 5/5, but it's still going to play pretty similarly, depending. It is good modular, I suppose, sure, but oh boy, we got a Merfolk here, and I'm a little sad that this card's not a goblin. Makes me a little sad, but I'll power through it. Rishadan Dockhand, 1 blue, 1/2 Island Walk. It's a Rishadan port. Now, a few things here. Merfolk was looking for more 1-drops anyway, so that's pretty real. And this card is better than Rishadan port once it's actually in play. While you do have to cast it, when you use Rishadan port, you are tapping 2 of your lands to tap 1 of your opponent's lands. When you use Dockhand, you are tapping 1 of your lands to tap 1 of their lands and a creature. That's pretty powerful. That's pretty good. So this card is going to play a lot better than it looks. Whether or not it's going to be a huge impact in the format, we will see. Obviously, plays well with Aether Vial. I think this card's pretty solid. Will it see play in non-Merfolk decks? I don't think so. Maybe some sort of like blue-white taxes deck could be a thing. But I think this card's going to play a lot better than it looks. All you folks haven't played against Rishadan port before. Rishadan port's really, really good. It is vulnerable, of course, yes, but if you're playing against a deck like Tron, that's pretty big. So I'm pretty impressed with this card. I wish it was a goblin, like a lot. But I think this is a very solid 1-drop. It's not busted. It's not crazy. Just a very solid 1-drop. And in limited, it's much worse. Because in limited, like, porting a land is like, it's all right, but like the games go longer. It's kind of eh. So yeah, definitely think this card is, for a 1-drop, very, very solid card. Anything that draws fire from your lords is a big deal. And like, if they kill us with a lightning bolt or a stomp or something like that, that's fine. Trade 1 for 1, whatever, And like, the 1-drop slot in Merfolk is pretty non-competitive, so pretty cool card. Said and done. Said is 3 mana for a sorcery. Return instant sorcerer from your graveyard to your hand. Pretty bad. Done is 4 mana for instant. Tap 2 creatures, then untap. So just a draft kind of card. Just like a blinding beam kind of filler, finisher kind of card, or a recursion spell. It's a pretty mopey draft card, honestly. It's just kind of whatever. Not super exciting. Subtlety. Unicorn. Reset, thanks so much. Subtlety, 2 mana enchantment. Pay 1, discard a card, make a crab. Delirium. Crabs you control get +1/+1 as long as there are 4 more creature types. We're going to need more butter. Leave the crabs alone. Crab people. Yeah, so pretty cute card. Definitely a really good madness enabler, of course. I don't want to be discarding good spells to this to make crabs. But if we were discarding for madness or value, kind of a cool draft build around. Haven't really seen black or red yet, so it's we'll see. Yeah, definitely, it's certainly a very cute, amusing card, and if you get Delirium, making 1/4s is pretty cool. So we'll see. Kind of a cute card. Constructed, probably not, but kind of cool. Up next is Shattered Ego, 1 mana enchantment aura, enchanted creature. Creature gets -3/-0. And then you can spend 5 mana to put the enchanted creature to its library, 3rd from the top. Just like your decent removal spell for limited. It's fine. Not super exciting, but you can play it early. It's valuable late. Reasonable. D, reset. Thanks so much.
Hey, Jimbo. Can't wait to hopefully draft MH2.
Yeah, should be fun. Up next is So Shiny. 3 mana for enchantment. Comes into play. If you control a token, you tap the creature and scry 2. Otherwise, it doesn't untap. So if you have a token, this card's very solid. Very, very solid, because the effects like this that to actually tap the creature are huge. If it doesn't tap the creature, it's pretty bad. It's sort of like an assassinate, where they've already attacked you for 3, now you're keeping it tapped. Yeah, it plays, but it's pretty rough. So draft card that will vary widely based on your deck. Obviously, if you have treasure in play or a clue and like that, pretty solid removal spell in blue. Specimen Collector, 5 mana for a 2/1. Comes into play, create a 1/1 squirrel and a crab. And when it dies, make a token that's a copy of a token you control. I mean, if you need tokens, this kind of does it. It's only 3 power for 5 mana. It is 3 bodies, but the bodies aren't very relevant. It's certainly cute. I don't think there's much blink in this set. So just a kind of a cute draft filler card, not super exciting. Steelfin Whale, 6 mana for a 3/4. Affinity for artifacts. I love affinity for artifacts. Whenever an artifact comes into play, you untap it. At 3/4, this isn't very exciting. This is like a 4/5 or a 4/4. I'd be more excited, but this thing has to cost like 3 mana or less to be remotely reasonable. Not super exciting. Not super exciting. It is cute with Paradise Mantle as far as a sort of like combo where you can keep making mana. Maybe it's some weird combo deck, but yeah, not super exciting. If it was an artifact itself, it was a little bigger, but filler. Step through. 5 mana sorcery, bounce 2 creatures, wizard cycling. I have not been tracking how many wizards we're looking at, but 5 mana sorcery, bounce 2 creatures is pretty bad, and then paying 2 mana for a wizard is also kind of bad, so it feels like pretty thick limited filler here, not super exciting. Ooh boy. Subtlety. Subtlety is the blue entry into the pitch incarnation cycle, and it's one of the best ones to cast. So 4 mana for a 3/3 flying flash, which is already like borderline okay, a little below Restoration Angel, dies to Bolt, which is a thing, but you know, not a card we're excited to cast, but reasonable. When it's battlefield, choose up to 1 creature or planeswalker spell and put that on the top or bottom of, or its owner puts it on top bottom of their opponent's of their library. So this card is the opposite of Force Negation, right? Whereas Force stops all non-creatures, this can stop any creature or planeswalker. You are 2 for 1ing yourself, which is certainly a thing, but you can just cast it too, which is kind of cool. Important to note also that it doesn't counter the creature, so Cavern of Souls will not get around this, which is kind of cool. This one's interesting, a little more narrow because it has to be with the white one. You can just draw it later and cast it. This one has to be on the spot at the right time to counter it. And then, of course, they can put it on top of their library, just draw it next turn, too. So, a little more of a, a temporary solution. But again, the most castable one as well. So, similar to Venser, definitely worse. Venser bouncing lands or being so flexible is very important. This card's fine. Best one to cast, probably. The green one's kind of reasonable to cast also. But, it's fine. Less of a safety valve than the white one is, for sure. I think this one is it's just okay. It's just okay. It's not a great card to ephemerate either. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not super pumped. In Limited, it's great because a 3/3 flash fire for 4 Limited is already super solid. And if you counter a creature with this, is super awesome too. So, pretty impressed. I do think it was good they didn't push the blue one because, of course, Force Negation exists. But solid card. Not amazingly exciting, but a nice safety valve for any creature combo, whatever deck. So, up next is Suspend, which is just hilarious. 1 blue, and you get to exile a creature and suspend it for 2. So, they have a Wild Nacatl, you suspend it, comes back in 2 turns. Kind of a cool card. Really, really solid for 1 blue instant. This is like a really, really good tempo play. You can Tibalt it. I believe that's true. That makes sense. You can you cast Tibalt, suspend it, play or whatever, test, Valky, and later. Similar to Pongify, so on and so forth. That is true. Very, very good with Teferi Time Raveler, which stops suspend from being a thing because you can't cast cards on your main phase. This card's very reasonable. I'm not sure exactly what deck wants it. I think the decks that are a little more aggressive are going to want this. But very solid card. Insane with Teferi. Drannith Magistrate's a little more, committing, but it just costs 1 mana, and 1 mana is a great place to be. Spirits, sure, things like that. Cool card. A very cool card. Definitely a tempo card, not a control card. I like it. I like this card a lot. Then Limited, not super exciting. It's okay. It's better than a Bounce Spell Limited, and it can break up, tricks, stuff like that. Kind of cool, but not as good. Not as good. Next up is the God of Sea and Sky. Blue 1. Legendary Merfolk God. 3/4. Has indestructible as long as you control at least 2 other Merfolk. Whenever it attacks, you draw a card. And other Merfolk have Ward 1. Jeez. That's a lot of freaking words. I don't know why they made this card so good. Like, it has the 4th toughness for Lightning Bolt. It saves your team. I'm sorry. It saves itself. You can draw cards. Ward is really good. It's sort of just like it's like a Kira plus Lord plus card draw engine and pretty tough also. Don't know if you'll play like a lot of this card, but definitely a solid Merfolk for sure. Replacing Kira is pretty good. Maybe like a 2-of in Merfolk decks. Obviously it's whenever it attacks, but definitely kind of a cool card. Very, very like this pure 2021 design here. You know, a modern push Magic design. But Merfolk is pretty mopey, and then Merfolk is also a Lurrus deck lately as well. So it's kind of cool. They're trying to find reasons for decks not to be Lurrus decks, because Lurrus is so freaking annoying. But yeah, kind of a cool card. Kind of a cool card. Good art too. Cool art. In Limited, this card is just good in Limited. You can have 0 Merfolk in your entire deck. At 3/4 for 3, that draws a card whenever it attacks. It's just like a solid draft card. So definitely a solid card. I'm sure Nikachu is very, very happy. Very, very happy. Up next is Sweep the Skies. Blue X. Converge. Make a Thopter for each color mana spent. Very cool card. Very cool card. 2 mana for 2 flyers, or 4 mana for 2 flyers is pretty cool. 5 mana for 3 flyers is very cool. I don't know if there's a 5 color deck in this limited format, but if there is, card's super, super cool. Solid draft card. They're also tokens. They're also artifacts. So there's a lot of synergies as well. Very solid draft card. Very, very solid draft card. Up next is Thought Monitor. Let's pour one out for Somber Hoverguard, please. Let's pour one out for Somber Hoverguard. Thought Monitor is a 7 mana 2/2 flyer with affinity for artifacts. Comes into play, draw 2 cards. This is Somber Hoverguard and Thoughtcast put together, but most importantly, it's also an artifact. Now, the big problem that Thoughtcast and Somber Hoverguard had was you just can't play that many non-artifact cards in your affinity deck. And there's just like a limited number you can play. But if it's an artifact, it's self-perpetuating. It's great. It pumps, Steel Overseer and Cranial Plating and so on and so forth. This card seems awesome. I do think that I've said for a while that with Mox Opal banned, the artifact land should be unbanned. This card would be insanely good with artifact lands. As it stands, I think it's still very, very good. Super solid card. Definitely a major draw to playing artifacts in general. The big thing about artifact decks is they want to dump their hand really fast and then just kind of keep drawing cards. This does that pretty well. So pretty cool card. Pretty cool card. Like it a lot. Real good. I'm sure I'll play this card a lot in a lot of different decks. I just love artifacts. So possibly even a cube card because my cube is a very big artifact theme, but solid card. Up next is Tide Shaper. 1 blue for a Merfolk, kicker 1. Enters the battlefield. If it was kicked, target land becomes an island for as long as Tide Shaper enters the battlefield. And then if your opponent has an island, it's 2/2. So another solid 1-drop. Honestly, probably about as good as Dockhand is. And they play well together. So you can make their lands into islands, tap their non-island lands. Pretty cool. Giving Merfolk a sort of mana denial element is pretty real. Seize Claim is legal. Spreading Seas is legal as well. Very solid card. Very solid card. It's gonna be as a 1 mana 2/2. If your opponent has an island, is super solid. Of course, you can kicking it's obviously good too. This is sort of a very, very solid 1-drop. Probably also a lot better than it looks. I think there's a chance this card is better than Dockhand. I don't necessarily know though. I'm not a Merfolk master, so definitely a cool card though. Definitely a cool card. Obviously, the ability to bolt this and turn off Spreading Seas is a big deal. But if you're playing against Jund and they have 2 Glyphs in play and you go to attack and they kill this and then block your creature, it's pretty bad. So, but definitely a cool card. Definitely a cool card. Up next, Vedelkin Infiltrator. That's some freaking creepy ass art. I'm sorry. I need to look away. I actually had an alien dream this morning. Woke up at 6 a.m. It's terrifying. But Infiltrator is a 2 mana 1/3. It can't be blocked. And if you have Metalcraft, it's +1/+0. So it's Metalcraft is a 2/3 unblockable creature for 2 mana. Solid draft card. If this card is going to be on with Metalcraft all the time, really good card. Really good card. For limited. Solid card. Freaking creepy ass art though. I don't like it. Get away from me. Go away. Oh. I know it's cheating a little bit because it's not a new card, but this is going to be one of the most impactful cards in the format. Best in show, not close. Counterspell enters the modern format, a card that people have asked for literally a decade, and a card that have some pretty big waves. We've seen Logic Knot, we've seen Mana Leak, we've seen Remand, we've seen all these various counterspells played over the years, and Counterspell is the OG, the original gangster. Now, with mana bases already being twisted for Archmage's Charm and Cryptic Command, stuff like that, shouldn't be too hard to cast. One of the most impactful cards in the set. I think this is going to be a big deal. I don't think it's too good. I think I'm pretty happy Counterspells in the format, honestly. But to make QQ, yes. It's freaking Counterspell, folks. What can I say? Freaking Counterspell. Icecrown Scepter is still legal. I love that card. But you can't put Fire Ice on it, which is so sad. It's so sad. But yeah. Replace it in a Mana Leak or in addition to Mana Leak. As long as you can cast Counterspell, you're playing Counterspell. It's as simple as that. For decks that are like light on blue, Mana Leak's still reasonable. But they made cancel 1 less mana. Counterspell's great, folks. Not much to say about it. Up next is, again, we're looking at the reprints now. This is Sea Drake, a portal card that used to see play in Legacy way back in the day. You would go turn 1, like Ancient Tomb, Mox Diamond or whatever, and like play this with only 1 land in play, and you wouldn't need to bounce anything, which is kind of cool. That was a long time ago. Lightning Bolts, Path to Exile, not playable in any sense of the word, but it's cool. It's a fun old card. Probably not playable in limited either, honestly, but just kind of a fun old relic of Magic's history. Pretty fun. Sealer Removal. Yeah, I mean, Lurrus is still really good, so it's a card we'll probably see play in Lurrus decks. Definitely one of the best unsummon effects. It's also an enchantment, which is kind of cool. So, yeah, Lurrus is still legal. Good old Lurrus. Upheaval. Holy moly.
Bingo!
Probably also not good enough, but really fun card. Really fun cube card. I'm pretty sad Psychotog wasn't in the set, just for the full nostalgia, but probably won't do much. It is a really powerful effect for decks that make a lot of mana, but probably just not good enough, unfortunately. Cyclonic Rift upgrade. Upheaval bounces lands. Upheaval bounces lands. So, for those who've never seen this card before, the goal of Upheaval is you want to make a lot of mana. You want to cast Upheaval with mana floating, and then play a threat. So you end up in a spot. The old Psychotog decks back in the day, their goal would be to get 9 mana. You play Upheaval, you float through mana, everything is bounced. You play your Psychotog as a threat, you play your land to defend it, and you say go, and they die next turn. So really powerful card. You can do it with like Tarmogoyf, you can do it with Mana Rocks, and like in cube drafts. So you go like, make a bunch of mana, play Upheaval, play Mana Rock, play mana go. Will this be good enough for Modern? Probably not. But it's a fun card to have. It's a super cool card. And then in Limited, if your deck can make enough mana, the play pattern of just like, float mana, recast a threat is super reasonable. Good with Urza? That is true. That is pretty good with Urza. So we'll see. It's a powerful card. In Commander, yeah. I mean, obviously making everyone bounce all their crap is a big deal in Commander. So, and then Wonder returns. The Incarnation, another boomer card. Not meant to be cast. 4 mana 2/2 flyer. But in your graveyard, you got an island, all your stuff flies. Kind of a cool card. Probably not good enough for Modern because blocking doesn't really matter that much, but it's a cool card. It's cool. Dredge, I mean, don't think Dredge wants to have any islands in play, personally, but pretty fun card. It's just a boomer card. A lot of fun nostalgia in sets like this. So I see Wonder and I go, oh, cool, Wonder. And maybe I never cast it or put it into a deck, but it's just cool. It's just cool. So that's blue, folks. Blue, I mean, pretty exciting. Definitely some powerful cards, of course. Counterspell is the big one, though. Counterspell is one of the biggest cards of the entire set. So that's pretty wild. So YouTube folks, I love you. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what your best in show is for blue. Let me know how wrong I am. All right, YouTube, take a second, like, comment, subscribe. Helps me out a ton. I can't tell you how much it helps me. Free support. And look for more videos. I love you, YouTube. Thanks for watching.